This is Classical Conversations, and today we're taking a closer look at the album Live in Aspen with Sharon Isbin, which was recorded during the 2022 Aspen Music Festival and then released summer of 2024 to celebrate the festival's 75th anniversary season. And it is such a pleasure to have Ms. Isbin on the line here. Sharon, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, and it's lovely to meet you and talk with you.
Well, we'll dive right in here. If you could tell us about your experience of the festival itself over the years and how this particular album came together.
I've been directing the guitar department at the Aspen Music Festival since 1993, so I've been performing every summer now, over 30 summers consecutively in concert and hosting students from over 20 different countries to come and study with me at the festival. It's really considered to be one of the biggest, if not largest, classical music festivals in North America, because it has not only the component of multiple orchestras, over 200 concerts throughout the 8 weeks of the series, but also a large student body, almost 500 students that come and work with the faculty, along with many guest artists. So it's an exciting place to be. I was there as a student in the 70s. I've been honored to direct the program, and one of the big perks of giving a concert every summer is that I get to invite various guests, and I've had all kinds of people join me. And in 2022, I invited my dear friends, the Khans from India. Amjad Ali Khan is considered the foremost sarod virtuoso in the world, as well as his sons, Amaan and Ayaan Ali Bangash, and our fabulous tabla player from India, Amit Kavthekar. So we've been performing together since 2019. Our first album was called Strings for Peace after a tour that we did in India. And then what happened is we gave this concert in Aspen. We had a sold out show at Harris Hall, and we weren't thinking of making another album at all. But a couple of months later, we happened to hear the archival recording that Wes Lanich had recorded for the festival. And Ayaan said, "My God, this is an album." I said, "Really?" So I put my ear to the speakers and I said, "You're right." We got permission from the festival, and it was released in June, as you mentioned, of 2024, just in time for the celebration of the festival's 75th anniversary. So it's an accidental recording. And one of the beautiful things about that is there was no self-consciousness. We were just playing our hearts out to the audience. And of course, the guys improvise nonstop. Every night is a different show. And this is capturing a moment of magic with the excitement of the audience. And it felt very special to us as well.
Such a happy accident. And what was the audience's reaction from the live show?
Well, you can actually hear it in the recording because we saved some of the applause at the end of the pieces and some of the intros. When Performance Today, for example, broadcast recently several of the tracks, they have an even larger portion of the applause going on there. So you can really get a flavor for the incredible excitement, enthusiasm, and joy that the audience was feeling. They were hearing something for the first time. Most of those people there had never heard a sarod or knew what it was. And to put it together with a guitar is something very unusual. Sarod is an instrument that has no frets, a metal fingerboard, and they actually finger the notes on that fingerboard with long nails on two of their fingers pressing against the fingerboard. We do the opposite. We have short nails here so that we can press against our frets. They use a big plectrum to pluck the metal strings. I have nylon strings for the treble and metal wound bass. So the idea of mixing all of those microtones and overtones and qualities of sound together with just this incredible kind of conversation that happens with the improvisational feel. You have the slow intros and then you have the fast parts where the tabla enters and provides the rhythm. It really generates quite an extraordinary result. And these are all compositions by Amjad Ali Khan that he has set for us with the help of Kyle Paul, who notated everything and helped in the arrangement.
What about some of the different forms we find in this music with an Indian flavor to it? I noticed Sacred Evening, By the Moon, Romancing the Earth. They have these pairings of alap and raga.
Well, the alap is really the sense of the musicians connecting with their inner spiritual selves, with the core of the music, wherever it lays in the cosmos, and finding their voice, their improv, and their expression. And then when the raga part comes in, that's where the tabla, which is the incredible percussion instrument, that lends a whole different kind of feeling. So it picks up the energy, rhythm, and of course, at the end, each thing rises to a frenzy.
Talk about a frenzy. I mean, that finale to Romancing the Earth, that was absolutely wild. It was so fiery.
Yes, yes. And of course, though there is a script, a lot of it changes every night. And I'm just on my toes knowing that something magical and special will happen that will never happen again. And you've got that in Live in Aspen.
What percentage would you say is improvised versus written out?
Basically, the parts where the guitar is accompanying the sarods with, I'm improvising different bass notes and chords, they're really inventing something new. So if you look at the score, you won't see any markings for the sarod. All of that is really written down for the guitar, and then in the faster sections, both parts are written out, but they're still changing it every night.
Is there anything else you think would be helpful for listeners to know ahead of time in understanding and appreciating this confluence of cultures?
I think one of the magical things about the way this project has been constructed is that Amjad has figured out how to bring a Westerner into the fold without having them study for decades. Instead, it's an immediate immersion because of the way the arrangements are done and the collaboration between the instruments. So one of the things that was fascinating to me, especially once I got to India and began rehearsing with them for the first time, was the sense that there was something so familiar about the melismatic embellishments that would happen. And it really struck a chord with Spanish music. And that's why I open with a solo track by Francisco Tárrega. Because if you think about it, hundreds of years ago, Roma from India migrated across the ocean, across different lands. Many of them landed in Spain and became part of what eventually evolved into Spanish flamenco music in Andalusia several hundred years ago. If you look at dance of North Indian classical dance and Spanish flamenco side by side, you'll find some YouTube juxtapositions. The gestures are so similar, the rhythms and the feeling, that you can really viscerally experience that connection of cultures and centuries from long ago. And of course, in Spanish music, what inspired so many of the composers we've come to love today, not only Tárrega, but Manuel de Falla, Isaac Albéniz, Granados, all of them really drew on that flamenco heritage. So you've got this connection between Spanish music, flamenco, and North Indian classical music. It's there, you can hear it.